Hi, 你好. My name is Cheng, and I consider myself an American-born Chinese currently residing in China. Now, I was actually born in Hong Kong, but I consider myself American because I grew up in the US. My first language was English. I ate Popeyes, McDonald's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I swore the Pledge of Allegiance every Monday to the flag. And then, something surprising happened. When I was 9 years old, one fateful day in May, 2 weeks before summer break, my parents went up to me and told me, JianYuan, we're going back to China. And I was frankly terrified and quite furious. So, I went from this to this. 6,000 miles from US soil. I touched down in Hong Kong and I was immediately greeted by something so completely different from what I was used to in California. There were these tall skyscrapers. It was hot and humid. It was cramped and crowded. It was chaotic. And there were these strange things on signs that I couldn't read. And there was the strange dialect of Mandarin that I couldn't understand. And then there were the 1,001 air conditioning units strapped to the sides of dirty buildings, constantly pouring dirty water upon our heads. Now, I love Hong Kong. Sorry. I love Hong Kong. And I consider it one of my favorite cities in the world. But at the time, let me tell you, it was an absolute nightmare. So after Hong Kong, we went back to Shanghai. And I don't remember much about Shanghai. It's hot, there's lots of rain, which is pretty rare in California. And then there's the strange hobby of raising silkworms. I don't know if any of you have been through that. So what I do remember very, very, very well though, is the absolute pain it is to learn Chinese as a second language. Chinese. Well, my school actually started a new class for me with a Canadian Chinese classmate called Angela. So at least I wasn't alone, but that didn't make things much better. You see, for a person educated in English, with the English spelling and the English alphabet, it is an absolute nightmare to learn Chinese. It's a confusing mess of squiggles that people can somehow understand. But in China, well, you kind of have to. You see, originally I thought, no, I don't need to. I'll avoid this problem. I'll just read the English signs. Unfortunately for me, this is China. So, too bad. I did eventually learn English and Chinese, and now I can speak them both fluently. I can read Chinese, I can write a bit. Not much, but a bit. Good enough. But what I did find in China, what I did learn very well, is culture and history. China was absolutely eye-opening in this respect. In America, history is usually taught by the decade. We go, what happened 10 years ago? What happened 20 years ago? Our entire national history only stretches back 250 years or so. But in China, 5,000 years of civilization, the erection and destruction of huge monuments, the creation of beautiful works of glass and jade and gold, empires that stretched from the shores of the Black Sea to the Pacific. China, in this respect, was fascinating, it was eye-opening. Extraordinary. And something else hit me. The Chinese people. Physically, yes, as well, but mentally, it was amazing. The spirit of the Chinese people. When I think about the American dream, some of the best examples I find are 6,000 miles from American soil. Here, in China. In China, the spirit of work, of toil, of perseverance, of boldness, are all the best qualities that we were taught as kids in America. What's more, in China, everyone and everything has purpose. Everyone is going somewhere, building something, creating a new and better world. In China, people walk fast, people write fast, people talk fast because the great struggle of nation building hits heavily upon each and every one of us. In China, you see a construction site. In 2 years, it's become a city. In 5, a town, and in 10, a great new metropolis. In China, the constant and ever-present energy of advancement screams at us from all sides and squeezes us and goes, be not nobody. In China, things get done. Now, I'm not saying the Chinese rat race is perfect. It's definitely not. In any nation, people inevitably get left behind. But what I am saying is that China, while not perfect, has helped lift a generation out of poverty and build one of the world's foremost economic superpowers. And for that, we have to thank the spirit of the Chinese people. So, what can we see? Well, as American living in China, I originally was, frustrated by the heat, the humidity, the dirtiness, the chaos. But when I look closer to the very soul of China, there is so much there that I find captivating and fascinating and amazing. And I, personally, am so glad I came back. Why don't know? But what can we learn from this, so to speak? What lesson do we take away from my story or from countless other stories just like this? Well, it is that the US has a lot to learn from China, and China has a lot to learn from America. Instead of hurling insults and threats from both sides of the Atlantic, we should instead hold deals and treaties. We should give gifts. Instead of conflict, there should be collaboration. What I'm trying to say is that to Chinese people, the spirit of Chinese brilliance and Chinese toil has taken us very far along the road to modernization, but not far enough. It is now up to the much lauded spirit of Chinese humility to finally bridge the gap to take us further. And to Americans, now I know there's not many in the audience, but to Americans, George Washington, 200 years ago, once said, "The nation which indulges towards another a habitual hatred or a habitual fondness is in some degree a slave." So I say to you all, let us throw off the chains of animosity to stand united together upon the peak of human progress. Thank you.